Hello guys, my name is Erika Buenrostro. I am your Spanish 1014 instructor for UA CasaTaught. This video will be we will be discussing task 6, which describes parents or relatives' work. And then we're also going to talk about AR verbs. Before we actually do that, I want to remind everybody that last week we discussed the verb gustar in all its forms, singular and plural. You can find this under task 5 of your assignments. Now then, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and talk about AR verbs and describing what we like to do, or professions, okay? Our vocabulary for this week includes abogado, which anytime you see O, it means male, A would be female. Bombero, camarero. In this area, you would normally hear mesero. I don't think you would hear camarero very often, but mesero would be the word that you would use. Científico, dentista, enfermero or enfermera, hombre or mujer de negocios, mecánico, médico, periodista, piloto, policía, profesor, if it's a female, it's profesora, vendedor, salesperson. Okay. Other things that I also wanted to include as part of this week's vocabulary is the word hablar, which means to speak, comer, which means to eat, vivir, which means to live. Make sure that you remember, you flashcards, start your own personal dictionary, learn your vocabulary before you go on further into this video. Okay, regular AR verbs, present tense. The verb hablar, which means to speak, is what we call a regular AR verb. The indefinite form ends in AR, okay, and means to speak. You conjugate the verb by taking off the AR ending and adding new endings that corresponding to the person, yo, tú, él, okay? All right, so in other words, let's look at this example where we have yo hablo, it's I speak. Tú hablas, you speak. If we're doing the formal form of you, it'd be usted habla, okay? Él, ella habla, he or she speaks. Nosotros hablamos, we speak. Vosotros, you, which is the plural, you speak in plural. Vosotros is a word that you normally will not hear in this area, but because it is part of the Spanish language, we do have to include it as part of this video. But once again, in this area, you may not hear vosotros. Ustedes hablan, which translates to you, the plural form speak. Okay? Ellos, ellas hablan. They speak. Regular AR verbs. Okay, so there are many verbs that follow the same pattern. Some of the more common ones are listed as follow. Okay? Cantar, comprar, enseñar, estudiar, llamar, llegar, preguntar, tocar, trabajar, visitar. Regular AR verbs. The verb comer, to eat, is what we call a regular ER verb. The infinitive form ends in ER and means to eat. Just like AR verbs, you conjugate the verb by taking off the ER at the end and adding a new ending that corresponds to yo, tú, él, etc. So when we're talking about comer, if I'm saying I eat, I'm going to say yo como. If you say you eat, tú comes. You, the formal way of saying you eat, the formal way is usted come. He, she eats is él, ella come. We eat, nosotros comemos. Okay, ustedes comen is the you eat plural form. Ustedes comen. Okay, so you see usted come, ustedes, singular and plural. Ellos, ellas comen. They eat. Other examples that I also have here for you is aprender, beber, okay? Tú bebes, yo bebo, ustedes beben. You see how it's changing. Comprender, okay? Ellos comprenden, tú comprendes, él, ella comen, comprenden. Correr is the next one on this list. Oh, sorry about that. Leer, vender. All right. The verb vivir, to live, is what we call regular IR verb. Okay? The infinite form ends in IR and means to live. Just like AR and ER, you conjugate the verb by taking off the ER. Okay? Ending and adding new endings that correspond to the person. So, I live would be yo vivo. You live, tú vives. You live, the formal form is usted viven. So, what do you think would be the plural? Ustedes viven. Él, ella vive. Nosotros vivimos. Ellos, ellas viven. Okay? Other forms that are also similar to this is abrir, asistir, descubrir, escribir, recibir. Okay, and as every lesson, we also have included a video which we're going to try to recognize the vocabulary words and the different AR, IR verbs as part of this video.
Mi papá, él es peruano y él es diplomático. Él es embajador del Perú. En este momento mi padre vive en el Perú. Generalmente mi padre trabaja en otros países de Latinoamérica. Pero cuando mi padre está en el Perú, él trabaja con abogados, él trabaja con personas del gobierno peruano. Una parte muy importante del trabajo de mi padre es que puede conocer diferentes lugares en el mundo. Mi madre generalmente se queda en casa, pero ella ayuda mucho a mi padre porque cuando tienen que viajar, tienen que cambiar su vida completamente.
So for this week, as part of your discussion group, I would like to see that you guys have listened to this video and give me some examples. Give me some examples of some of the AR, IR verbs that we discussed as part of this chapter. I'd like to see what you come up with. Okay. This video is not going to be available. That's okay. We'll only do video 1 for this week for that reason. Just make sure you go on and let's discuss this further in the Blackboard discussion. Discuss it among your peers and provide feedback. A couple of practice phrases that I've got on here is mis padres están jubilados desde hace varios años, which translates to my parents have been retired for a few years. Okay. The next sentence reads, ellos dedicaron sus vidas a oficios muy interesantes, which reads they dedicated their lives. That's a misspelled word right there. To very interesting occupations. Okay. Trabajan arduamente. Su trabajo era duro pero agradable. They worked arduously. Their work was hard but pleasant. Okay. Me enseñaron los secretos de sus trabajos y ahora yo puedo hacer lo que ellos hacían para vivir. They showed me the secrets of their jobs and now I can do what they did to make a living. Okay, the next sentence reads, mis padres eran dueños de un negocio pequeño, eran microempresarios, which reads, my parents were owners of a small business. They were small business managers. Okay, these are your practice phrases for this particular week. I want you to look at those and review all those verbs that we mentioned earlier and try to learn your vocabulary words and catch those while doing while reading the practice phrases. Once again, that's the whole objective of the phrases, for you to just pick out the vocabulary that we initially showed you as part of this video. Okay, I've got a couple of exercises for you. Number 1 reads, where do you live? Okay, how would you translate that into Spanish? Where do you live? Number 2 reads, where do your parents live? Number 3, translate I speak, you speak, they speak. Actually, I'm so sorry. I've got to go back. For 1 and 2, you're supposed to answer the question. So, for example, where do you live? If somebody asked me where I live, how would you answer where do you live? And number 2, where do your parents live? How would you answer that question? And then number 3 is where you actually do translate. I speak, you speak, they speak. Okay, pause this video if needed. Here are the answers. Number 1, the way I would answer when they ask me, where do you live? I would say, yo vivo en Dicuín. Number 2, if someone asked me, where do your parents live? I would say, ellos viven en Dicuín. Number 3, if I translated it, I speak would translate to yo hablo. You speak is tú hablas in the informal way. C is they speak. Ellos hablan. Okay, for task 6, once again, I would like to see your observations. It's not necessarily for a grade. So if you don't want to discuss your phrases or anything that you saw in here, I just want to hear what your observations are about task 6 during the Blackboard discussion. I also provide feedback to other instructors, and of course your quiz is also due for this assignment. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time.